Over the last few years, we've seen a rise in older properties being brought back to life. Whether that's a legacy sequel, remake, reboot, it's left a lot of people asking one question. Is Hollywood out of ideas?
We stopped at a light and saw him walking in that field behind the Lost River Drive-In. Julie said he was so creepy.
Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the state of cinema today and address a very simple question. That is Hollywood totally out of original ideas? Now, before any of you hear that and go, oh my god, here we go. This is not going to be some grifty, clickbaity video. No, I'm actually going to come into this with a nuanced argument and give both sides of it, because I can see both sides of this. But I personally believe before you can get into answering that question, you have to understand why it's being asked in the first place. The thing that spurred this video for me was the recent announcement of Gremlins 3. I saw a ton of takes on that short video that I posted. There were really only two reactions to that news, and it was 1, I'm really excited, I can't wait, or 2, here we go again, Hollywood just wanting to ruin everything we once loved. And this has been something that we have heard percolating for years and years. There have been very vocal people saying that Hollywood does not have an original thought anymore. I don't think that's true, but I also don't think that's why you're seeing a rise in a lot of these properties being brought back. Now, when this all started is really hard to say, but I think the moment a lot of people think back to is Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. About 10 years ago, we saw this trend really kick off, and it has only picked up steam since then. Now sure, in the early to mid 2000s we saw a ton of remakes, but remakes are a bit different. They're definitely cribbing off of nostalgia and using the name to try to make money, but a legacy sequel is actually trying to build off of what came before it. See, a remake is just the brand recognition. A legacy sequel is saying, hey, you loved that one? Well, this is a follow-up to that one, no matter how long ago that original movie was, or whatever movie it's following. Now, why is this happening so much? Is it truly because Hollywood doesn't have any ideas? I really think that's a wild thing to say, because Hollywood is not some all-knowing entity. Yes, it's definitely an industry that cannibalizes a lot of this country in a lot of different ways, but in a lot of ways we've created that because we continue to consume films and television. So we are to blame for that if we actually have an issue with it. But that statement on the whole gives me pause, because that just totally disregards all of the creative voices that are working in the entertainment industry today. A lot of times the issues you have are with people that are choosing to write what they write, or directors directing what they direct, or actors giving the performance they want to give. Sure, studios will set a mandate, hey, we want to make this sequel or this remake, but I don't think wanting to do that is inherently a bastardization of what came before it. We've talked many times over the years on my channel about how there's some remakes that are better than the original. There's some sequels that are better than the original. These are just inescapable truths. I don't think this has ever been an issue of writers not knowing how to write anything original anymore. We get a ton of original content every year. A lot of people just don't go see it. You can look at Shudder. You can look at indie horror films that only get limited releases of 500 to 1,000 theaters that nobody talks about. It just comes and goes. And then years later becomes a hit on streaming and everybody goes, where was I when that came out? Is this brand new? No, this happens every year. It's just what we choose to consume. And that is really what the root of this is. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Look back at Star Wars The Force Awakens, one of the highest grossing movies of all time. And then each of its subsequent sequels cleared $1 billion+ every single time. Look back to Halloween 2018, the highest grossing slasher movie of all time. Look at Spider-Man No Way Home, one of the highest grossing superhero movies ever made. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. They're not always a hit. You can look at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny as a perfect example of that. Or Solo, a Star Wars story. So I'm not saying that doing one of these legacy sequels or building off of something that came before it is inherently going to be a moneymaker every time. It's not going to be. But the problem is, we are a society that thrives off of nostalgia. South Park calls them member berries, and that's just the way we are.
Hey, remember Ghostbusters? Oh, I remember.
As we get older and life gets more complicated and more stressful, we find ourselves recoiling into the things that we once loved, the things that bring us comfort. It's like a warm blanket. Now, sure, there's always going to be detractors that are going to call that out very specifically. We're only doing this because of the nostalgia, but that doesn't stop the fact that it's still happening. The issue is not Hollywood in and of itself. There's plenty of issues there, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying when it comes to the fact that we are getting so many of these movies year after year, it is the consumer. It is what we are consuming more often than not. And I would argue the times where it doesn't work, like I said, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it's just a movie that nobody cared about. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was not well received by the fan base, and it had been well over a decade. That franchise was dead and buried. Bringing that back was just not a smart decision. Rogue One made $1 billion as well, as did all of the sequel trilogy movies. So why did Solo flop? Because nobody wanted to see a recasted Han Solo prequel. Nobody cared. We know why Han Solo is who he is. We know how he got here. We don't need to see that play out with a different actor. And then you look at the ones that have been recently announced, which has really reignited the conversation all over again. The Mummy 4, Gremlins 3, but those are a little bit different. I think a lot of fans have been asking for a proper Mummy sequel with Brendan Fraser for a long time. I think tons of fans, myself included, have been asking for a Gremlins 3 for 30 plus years. I think a lot of the hesitation here is people worry that they're going to take these classic movies, these classic ideas, and they're going to make them look and feel like today's times. I don't think that has to be the case. It's all about who you hire to make that movie. Yes, Hollywood is a little bit lazy for just going, oh hey, let's just resurrect everything. But at the same time, the dollar is what talks. The bottom line is the bottom line. We create this environment because we go to see these things. We buy these movies. We buy this merchandise. We've done this to ourselves. With Gremlins 3, for example, a lot of people's big concern is CGI and AI. They don't want it touching Gremlins. And I'm right there with you. I don't want it touching Gremlins either. I think it has no place. The first two Gremlins movies over 30 years ago showed us that puppets and practical effects can be used here and used to great effect. Now, with the money that these studios have these days and some of the creative voices behind these projects, they should be able to make those things look seamless in 2025. There's just no excuse for it. If you opt to go a different route, it's just the lazy way. I'm sorry. And I understand that trepidation. I understand that fear. But most of the time for me, when I hear an announcement like this, I don't immediately go to the negative. I try to view it from the lens of, well, hey, people have been asking for this for a really long time, so maybe they'll do it right. Maybe this will be created with care and love for the property. And with Gremlins 3, although Joe Dante is not there, we do have Chris Columbus, and he was the writer of the original Gremlins movie. So I doubt that he signed on to write and direct this just to make a turd. I just don't see that happening. That doesn't mean it's going to be a great movie, but I think he is well-intentioned here. It's also really important to point out here that Hollywood is just cyclical. It always has been. As I pointed out, early in the 2000s, we had the remake craze where everything was getting a remake. And then that started to die off. And right now, we're in the legacy sequel craze. But that's not going to last forever. But it will last as long as we keep paying to go see these movies. And I'm not here to shame anybody for seeing them or not seeing them. That's not the point of this video. The point of the video is to say, while Hollywood has a million problems, and believe me, it does, I don't think that it's their fault that we keep going to see these movies. I won't lie to you. Every legacy sequel damn near I have seen in theaters. Like every single one. When you play off of the nostalgia and love I have for my childhood, a simpler time, I just can't help but bite on it. Now there have been times where I'm like, nobody's asking for this sequel. Why the hell are they doing this? And those movies rightfully flop. Or remakes that people are like, the original wasn't even popular. Why on earth are we doing this? And those flop. But I personally believe that more often than not, these ideas are validated because of the results. People go see them. It drives traffic online. People like myself make videos about them that get thousands of eyeballs on them. They know what we want. And as long as we keep consuming it, it's what we're going to get. So I don't think Hollywood resurrecting these franchises is really the problem. I think we need to hold a mirror up to ourselves sometimes and ask, are we the problem? Because yeah, we are. But as I said, I don't think that inherently means it's going to be a bad thing. I try to go into these things open-minded, and I don't shame anybody for going to see one of these movies or not seeing them. You can just choose to do whatever you want to do. But the masses continue to speak with their checkbooks, and until they don't, this is where we live now, and that's just the way it is. I also think that a lot of these have actually been really good revivals over the last decade plus, in my opinion. The first Jurassic World movie is a very good movie. I had a really good time with it. Star Wars The Force Awakens is a pretty good movie. I had a good time with it. So while it is a bit lazy for Hollywood to just continue to cop out and go, well, let's make a sequel to this, they're following the trends of the environment, and that environment is one that we have created. So go see these movies, don't go see them. Love them, hate them. Scream about them online or praise them online. Whatever you choose to do. While Hollywood itself has 1,000,001 problems that would be far too many for me to cover in one video, one of them is not a lack of ideas. They're just following the dollar. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What is your take on this topic? Are you someone that goes and supports these things and chooses to have an open mind about them? Or are you someone that's pessimistic and wants to call it out as soon as it's announced every single time? Whatever your stance is on it, I want to hear down below. I want to know what you think. And even if you're somebody that hates every time they resurrect one of these properties, can you admit that the masses have created this environment? It's not necessarily Hollywood's fault. It's kind of our own. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting discussion and an interesting topic. So please sound off in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please make sure to leave a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.